Get used to this. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Maple Heights Board of Education. This is Committee of the Whole meeting. We're at 5740 Lawn Avenue, the Board of Education building. It is now 6:05 p.m., Monday, May 6, 2024. Mr. Friedrich, can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Cheeks? Ms. Granger? Ms. Shepard? Mrs. Moore? Mr. Blackwell?
Here. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Next, we have the adoption of the official agenda, but before that, I'd like to make a motion to remove the first executive session from the meeting minutes. Any questions, concerns regarding that? Seeing none, Mr. Friedrich, can I have a roll call?
Mrs. Moore? Ms. Granger? Ms. Cheeks? Ms. Shepard? Mr. Blackwell?
Yes. Next, we'll have the reading, approval, and signing of the minutes from the April 24th, 2024 special meeting. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
Any questions, concerns? Seeing none, Mr. Friedrich, can I have a roll call?
Ms. Granger?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore? Ms. Cheeks? Ms. Shepard?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Abstain. Next, we'll have a report from the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Friedrich. For my report for this evening, we'll start with information under Roman numeral 1, number 1, students for your consideration for home instruction. Under Roman numeral 2, other, I just had 2 bits of information I wanted to share with you. The first one being that just publicly I wanted to announce that the Board of Education at the last meeting passed new policy that will prohibit student use of phones in the district next year. We're doing this in a way to give our families enough advance notice and preparation so that people are aware of what's going on for next year. We're going to be exploring the use of Yonder bags. We've actually gotten some quotes right now. We're working on getting that secured and working with our Director of Security to make sure that we have the right process. We've visited a few places to make sure that we do it as well as possible when we start the school year next year. The other bit of information I wanted to share is I asked Mr. Niamke if he could come up and talk to the board a little bit about the procedure and timeline for any adjustments we would want to consider making for food service.
Testing. Good evening, Mr. President, Madam Vice President, board members, Dr. Keenan and Mr. Friedrich. Per the board's request, we have reached back out to Ashtabula City Schools to obtain additional information in regards to employing a food service management company. Excuse me, Jake, is there anything you can do about that, please? I apologize. In addition to contacting Ashtabula City Schools, we also reached out to K-12 business consultants or associates. Think of them as you would think of as an architect. So the way that we would employ an architect to help us with new construction projects or renovation projects, K-12 business consultants works in the same capacity relative to implementing food service management companies into a district. So they would help with the search process, the bidding process, any type of sampling procedures that we would like to implement. They will play a significant role in that. They would also ensure that our I's are dotted, T's are crossed in terms of making sure that we're meeting all of the Ohio Department of Education, Office of Nutrition guidelines relative to the implementation of a food service management company. What we've been informed of by Ashtabula is that process took them about 6 months. They started the process in January and then concluded that process in June, with the food service management company actually starting in July. That gave them enough time to make sure that that program or that new vendor was in place in time for the start of that school year. In regards to the information that we've received by K-12 Business Consulting, they've informed us that, it's typically 4 to 6 months, depending on how swiftly we can get information to them. Certainly we can get things implemented at a faster pace. So I don't want you to leave here thinking today that 6 weeks is necessarily the norm or the average. This can be done in a shorter period of time, provided we're ready to go as a district and we can provide all the needed information that's necessary to proceed. So at this point, I would just simply be seeking direction from the board as to how you would like to proceed. As you're aware, we've had 3 different food service management companies come into our district, provide food samples. We've visited 3 different districts, one of each served by one of those food service management companies. And at this point, I'm just seeking guidance on what you would like the next steps to be.
So we'll have a discussion about it and we'll let you know probably first thing in the morning.
Understood. Any questions? You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Niamke. For the rest of my report for this evening, under Roman numeral 2 recommendations, numbers 1 through 3, and under personnel recommendations, numbers 1 through 11, for your consideration this evening.
So colleagues, the superintendent has asked us to approve recommendation Roman numeral 2, 1 through 3, and Roman numeral 3, 1 through 11. Do you have a motion to approve the recommendations? Any discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Friedrich, can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Moore? Ms. Granger? Ms. Cheeks? Ms. Shepherd? Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell, could I make a few comments, please, about your vote?
Yes.
First of all, I'd like to recognize that one of the things that was voted on this evening was the retirement of Ken Ropar. Ken Ropar has been an intervention specialist for us at Milkovich Middle School, and he served the district for 22 years, and just like to publicly thank Ken for his service to the district for such a lengthy period of time. The second thing that was voted on that I want to thank the board is we had the opportunity to interview for 3 new administrative positions in the district. I want to thank the committees that were involved with interviewing folks. We have some really quality candidates for all 3 positions and landed on 3 great people that were selected and voted on here this evening. They all came and were able to be here with us this evening, so I'd like to give them all an opportunity to maybe come up to the mic and say a few words. Start with our new Director of Transportation, Ms. Nikel Church.
Good evening. So yes, my name is Nikel Church, but I go by Nikki. I've been in transportation for 9 school years with Excel Schools. I thank you all for the opportunity, for allowing me to work with the district. I'm excited. I'm a former resident. Children have been in the school system before, so I'm really excited to work with your team. Any questions or anything? No. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you and welcome.
We also had an internal applicant for the assistant principal position at Obama, and she did an outstanding job as a teacher for us this year, involved in many leadership opportunities. And so I'd like to ask Ms. Crystal McChrystal to come to the podium.
Hi, I am Crystal McChrystal, currently a 7th grade math teacher at Milkovich Middle School, but I'm looking forward to transitioning into this role as an administrator. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for considering me for this position. I'm looking forward to working with you and all of the amazing staff members at Obama.
Welcome.
And lastly, from Strongsville, by way of Brooklyn, New York, we have our new JFK principal, Mr. Samuel Lawrence.
Train them well, train them well. Good evening, everybody. Again, Samuel Lawrence. Yep. If I could translate that, his name is Sutton Lawrence. He's the middle child. I just wanted to thank you all for the opportunity to be able to be a part of the Maple Heights community, the opportunity to work with JFK, and it's all about student outcomes. I'm blessed with the opportunity to potentially work on immersing the students with learning experiences that helps them find their best selves. So, thank you. Say thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
All right, Committee of the Whole, does anyone have any committee reports?
Yes, with the assistance of Mr. Mawada, we have a facilities report of the walkthrough from the AC. So if Mr. Mawada can present the current schedule for the agenda to make changes, and then we can talk about all the things that we walked through so we can inform the board.
Is it your desire that I go through the complete list, or? Certainly. So during our visit, we identified projects that are actually happening, or what we also refer to as actual projects, and then we also identified proposed projects. So those were recommendations that came from Ms. Cheeks and Ms. Moore during our visit. I'll start with the actual first, and then I'll finish off with those proposed projects. First and foremost, indoor track repair and painting of the walls in the athletic center on the 3rd floor. The homework center, which would also include the EA Sports Lab. That construction or renovation is in progress and is expected to be completed early to mid-October. The Fitness and Wellness Center, that renovation project is underway, replacing what used to be the nanatorium, and is expected to be completed middle to late November. There was a bleacher automation project on the table that was to start later this week. I'm sorry, yeah, actually this week. But that particular project has been on hold in light of some discussion relative to one of the proposed projects, which I'll get to shortly. Digital scoreboard installation, the new speaker or sound system, that project is complete. For those who attended the Pathfinders Assembly in February, had an opportunity to experience that sound and the video firsthand. There is still some training that needs to take place with the athletic department as well as other staff members within the district. There was new flooring installed in one of the old visitor locker rooms. There is going to be an upgrade this summer to the trainer's room. The coach's suite was upgraded. Painting was completed, installation of carpet, as well as new furniture purchased and installed in that space. Weight room, the football weight room. This summer we are looking to do painting and add some graphics in that space as well, just to get the football players pumped up a little bit more. We are also going through, this summer we'll be doing a preventative maintenance and inspection of all the basketball hoops as well as the baseball cages. We'll be refinishing the gymnasium floor, and that's something that we do each year with all of the hardwood floors within the district. There is also going to be a light replacement upgrade happening in the hallways. So those older dim lights are going to be replaced with brighter LD lighting. There are going to be large roof exhaust fans installed. That project is expected to start within a week or two. That's going to replace the existing fans and hopefully will improve the ventilation within that space, making it a little bit cooler during the summer and spring months. So those are all of the projects that are actual. They're either happening or are scheduled to take place or happen this summer. As far as any proposed projects, and that's a smaller list, we are looking at the potential of bleacher upgrades or complete bleacher replacement. So once again, the automation of the existing bleachers was put on hold in consideration for the possibility of that upgrade or replacement. There was also discussion about the possibility of replacing the washing machines and the dryers. Currently, we have residential washers and dryers in place for the cleaning of uniforms. We will be looking at replacing those with commercial equipment. We also discussed adding some signage or graphics to the second floor. It will cover up some of the fencing that surrounds the old weight room and also some of the track area, and we think would just enhance the overall appearance of that space. Some door replacement, and that varies. It's some coaches' rooms, some office rooms that have some older doors that we'll look at replacing. We also, and this was something that we didn't discuss with you, Ms. Moore and Ms. Cheeks during the visit, but something that Mr. Kelly and I thought about after you left, and that was the external painting of the frames to the AC. Also, we're looking at more painting within that space, old locker rooms as well as offices. And then lastly, we're looking at a remodeling or an upgrade of the concession area. Some painting, maybe a new shutter, possibly doing something with the flooring, just to improve or enhance the appearance of that area. Any questions? And what I'll do, Mrs. Moore, is I will make sure the other board members receive the same spreadsheet that you and Ms. Cheeks received via email earlier this week.
Okay, when we did the walkthrough, we started the walkthrough and we started with the concession stand in that area. Yes, we talked about doing some remodeling that concession area, but also it's being used now as a dumping area, it seemed, because there was a lot of things in that concession area that should not have been there. That is a hazard for anybody walking in there. There was a lot of athletic, and it seemed like gear was in there, and there was also a lot of like lost and found items that were in there, and then some equipment in there that needed to be put away because it was like a hazard area for who's ever over there going in and out. And Also, in that concession area, for you guys to know that it needs to be maintained and needs to be clean. There's like, when they finish with the concession area, it's not put away, things are not put away, and they're not being cleaned to be put away. So that needs to change in that area that was there. Mr. Mawada mentioned the wash machine and dryer area. There was some areas in there that needs to be cleaned and remodeled, like he said, painted, and the residential machines that were there, the dryer was having issues, and I guess they've pointed out that it's been issues, but we're using residential dryers to be washing heavy uniforms, and we're consistently replacing this, and that's a high cost. We need to look into making sure that we're using the money wisely and that we're buying equipment that is going to last us and not be over buying money, spending money over and over again with things that's not gonna hold up for what we need it for. Looking to like some front loaders or even looking at Blink, depending on how much we need to wash, but those football uniforms are not going to hold up in those residential washing machines. We also, like Mr. Water was saying, we looked at the door replacements. We have the doors that have been there since it looked like the building was built. And some of the doors are falling apart. So, I mean, it's a little hazardous and it's not safe. So we need to really look into the concerns of the safety in that building. The old locker rooms that we have, they need to be cleaned, upgraded, and the kids need to make sure that the coaches are picking up clothes. There's a lot of equipment laying in those locker rooms that shouldn't be there. Clothes, cleats, trash, it needs to be cleaned. And we talked with Mr. Mawada and we talked with Mr. Kelly that we have to get people over there to structure, to have somebody in that building. Because we got one person over there, he cannot keep that whole entire building clean at all. There's no way that he can keep that building clean. So we need to make sure we are staffing accordingly to that building that you have over there. And especially with us going to be able to open up those 2 new facilities, we need to make sure that we are looking at the staffing. And I know, Taylor, you said you have looked accordingly to plan for that. But right now, we need to make sure that we have somebody over there with that custodian that's there because he can't do that whole building. There's trash in those waiting rooms, in the locker rooms that they're currently using. There's cleats, football cleats, track cleats, everything is over there just dumped on the floor. And our kids are walking through that area, they're in that area, and our kids should not have to walk in there and see that every day because they've been there for a while. So people are walking by, looking at it, and not cleaning it up. Upstairs, where you guys want to replace that track up there, you need to go through and block off the areas where you said that the floor is pulling up because you have kids up there. I mean, it needs to be blocked off where the kids aren't using those areas where you have identified that those are unsafe areas. There was no area up there where the whole track in one section was coming up off the floor. It wasn't blocked off where our kids can walk through or they're running up there, their track, gym. You guys have to make sure that you are blocking off the areas, making sure that building is safe up there. And I know you wanna, and you have plans to do the remodel, but in the meantime, you still have to provide safety for our students and the staff that's up there in those areas. The bleachers, I know you, Mr. Water said that we have a grant, we're putting that on hold because at this point, if we're gonna replace the bleachers and look into doing replacement for the bleachers, I don't see why we would spend that money, waste the money, and then we would have to go in, tear out whatever it is that you're trying to accommodate for those old bleachers to put in new bleachers. And I know all this cannot be done all at one time, but we have to plan, and we need to plan this accordingly for the safety of our staff and our students that are using that current building over there. And I will turn the mic over to Ms. Cheeks.
So we did have the conversation about the bleachers, but I just wanted to know, did you get a contract for the track upstairs? Yes. Okay.
Yes, we have received a
Because,
contract.
I'm sorry, I'm getting a little confused because you put down that the track was gonna start August 1st, right?
That's an error. That's incorrect. The track is actually scheduled to start right after school lets out. So that first full week in June. I apologize for the error.
Okay, so maybe I wasn't here at the time, but did we agree on this track?
That is my recollection.
I mean, but can you show me the board members, or maybe I just wasn't here? I'm just curious, because I don't remember that.
I don't have that information with me at this particular point in time.
Yeah, I'll make a comment about that. There's a board committee that is in charge of building and grounds. And that committee meets, when it chooses to meet. And over the time that the board decides what things they want to prioritize, Mwada and Benny and the administration try to support those expectations. Obviously, there's financial considerations as well. And then, the other thing that happens is we transition to new boards. And there's always a concern about like what happened before and what's happening now and where are we. And, the track has been in process for, I don't know, I'd say at least 9 months.
I'd say closer to 6 or 7.
Okay, so it's been on the docket for probably 6 or 7 months. So I think some of this deals with the transition over to new board members and just having that conversation with the committees about what's been going on. And it's kind of hard to figure it out publicly here, but we can always have those conversations outside of these public meetings to get clear on where things were and where things are, so we're all on the same page.
I just want to say one thing. The track is being paid with ESSER funds, which are money that's going away, and has certain allowable uses. So the track could be used because it promotes exercise, which prevents the spread of COVID-19, whereas structural improvements doesn't really fit the needs of the ESSER fund and how we could use them.
And I just want to also add too that, there's 7 of us up here, and, we all have an opinion on things and what we want to do, and that's why it's so important to have board committees, have conversations, have recommendations. We all want to work together, and, the points that are being made here are all very valid points, and I think that the board as a whole needs to consider them, provide direction, and then we'll make sure that we follow through on getting the things done that people want done. So we appreciate the feedback, very valuable input. We're glad that board members went over and identified some areas, and today we're sharing them with the rest of the board, and hopefully we get some direction from you guys about which things take priority, and financially we'll figure out a way to make it get done.
you, Ms. Moore. Did anyone else have any reports? Okay, I had a report from the Wellness Committee. So we have prom coming up on Friday. So we are going to have prom lineup. It's been moved up an hour. It will be at Stafford Park from 4:30 to 5:30, and the prom starts at 6 o'clock. So Mr. Rose, along with the parents group, will be there, as well as Maple Heights Police Department. Also, I have PBIS Wellness Team information and some numbers that I'll be sharing with the rest of the board, but the numbers and the positions have really seemed to be paying off of having the restorative practices and the work done. We've seen some significant increases in our PBIS work. So good work by Dr. Shelby and her team. That's all I have for my report. Now we'll have visitor participation. So if anyone likes to come up and speak, this is the time to do it. Anyone? All right. Seeing that we have no one that's coming up, I'd like to make a motion to move into executive session for negotiations. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Ms. Friedrich, can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Granger?
Yes.
Ms. Cheeks? Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes. We are now in executive session at 6:37 p.m. Thank you all for coming out.